Rebound taken by Iguodala. Iguodala to Curry, back to Iguodala, up for the layup. Oh, blocked by James. LeBron James with the rejection.
Cleveland, this is for you.
Come here to cleanse your soul. Yeah, 4-4 and go. That other getting old. We got Sam right in time. This is a sports octagon. Sports for forever and beyond. Spend it with Sam Ryan time. From the puck to the glove to the pigskins high. Share all of your thoughts, just let it ride. Down the baseline in the bleachers, or you wanna get denied. Yeah, share all of your thoughts, just let it ride. 4-4 and go. Come here to cleanse your soul. Yeah, it's 4-4 and go. Come here to cleanse your soul.
The Browns Super Bowl contenders.
Hey, listen, when we start talking about what wins Super Bowl, we talk about talent. The Browns, they have the talent. They have it.
That other getting old. We got Sam right in time. This is a sports octagon. Sports for forever and beyond. Spend it with Sam right in time. From the puck to the glove to the pigskins high. Share all of your thoughts, just let it ride. Down the baseline in the bleachers, or you wanna get denied. Yeah, share all of your thoughts, just let it ride. 4-4 and go. Come here to cleanse your soul. Yeah, it's 4-4 and go. Come here to cleanse your soul.
The Browns Super Bowl contenders.
Hey, listen, when we start talking about what wins Super Bowl, we talk about talent. The Browns, they have the talent. They have it.
Hey, ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, children of all ages, welcome into, what do we call, the episode that ended the year, accidentally, I guess. We'll go that route because definitely was not meant to happen that way, but it is what it is.
Unintentional wrap-up, man.
Yes, just gone. Wrap it up, throw it away. LBJ from the corner into the garbage can. It's over with for the year. Thanks everyone for joining us tonight. Kind of unfortunately, was not the way we planned. Last minute we found out about 2:45 today. The Jefferson Falcons versus Pymatuming Valley Lakers got canceled. Some circumstances out there kind of sucks. Don't really want to chat about. It's not up to us to talk about, but I'm sure most of you guys that are watching probably already know what happened, and it's kind of the irony, because the reason why we started the show is also the reason why football season ended, I think. But
I'm telling you, it could not be any more an appropriate ending.
Yeah.
Wild season, but I will say this: it sucks. I was super hype about tonight's game.
Yeah.
I know you guys were. I know that. I hope that the athletic directors get together, Mel and Mr. Losi both, and get each other on the schedule next year, because this was going to be a fun game to watch. There is some legitimate, interest in watching South County, a classic like tonight. We could have something like the Battle for Route 11, or the South County Classic. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I love that. The Battle for Route 11. Hey, we're gonna just make it a trophy now. We're gonna, even if 4-4 on Gold does it, it's the Battle for Route 11, baby.
Battle for Route 11.
Next year, hey, that game will be hyped, hot. Yeah, I couldn't believe the amount of people. Every time we shared something about PV versus Jefferson, and I'm not talking about just a couple hundred people. I'm talking like one post had reached over like 3,800 viewers, that people have clicked on it and watched it, looked at it, whatever you want to call it. It was a hype game. It was going to be a good game, and I think it was going to be what I would like to call a barn burner over there in downtown Jefferson, Ohio, baby. It was going to be good. But, things happen. Things happen for a reason. It is what it is. Can't look at the past. You can only look at the future. Because genuinely, Jefferson, they're coming back strong. I know maybe I'm diving in too fast, but I'm just thinking ahead of myself here. They're on, and kudos to the seniors, and I'm not knocking you guys, but they're only graduating 3 seniors this year, or 4. I'm sorry.
4, yeah.
Yeah. So next year, a lot of returning guys, a little bit more continuity. OC out there and quarterback coach Brandon Hanna implementing his system in there, which started to take off a little bit, in my opinion. Jefferson versus Edgewood was a baller game. Man, that one came down to the finish, to the very end. A lot of fun there, and it was fun to talk about Jefferson every week in and week out. And then, just to hit over to PV real quick. Not first round, because they got a bye, but not second round, because they won. They lost in the 3rd round. I think it was 32-16, if I recall right. Unfortunate injury to Mr. Bean that took him out of the game around the first quarter. But it was a great year. I mean, honestly, Geneva comes out, not first round, but the second round,
And just an update on that, Mogador, they end up running into a buzzsaw.
Did they?
Canfield put it on those boys.
Yeah.
Canfield is really a quality program.
Did they?
And that's quality. Listen, if you stay on Route 11, you'll run into Canfield too. I know that because my absolute stone cold cock of a wife is from down that way. Love you, baby. I'll tell you what, we all 3 of us really should take this moment, take a couple seconds to put a thank you out, not just to the people who are watching, not just the coaches and all that, but our wives, our significant others, because their sacrifices is what made this possible this year. So thank you to the ladies. You guys are all amazing. The wheels can't turn without you guys. Jessica, I love you. Thank you.
Yep, love you, hon. My wife, Rebecca, she's upstairs right now dealing with my crazy kid named Owen, which I do believe everyone's gotten to meet at some point in time. He just hops right on here, and he's doing backflips behind me. But thank you so much, hon, if you are watching. You kind of went above and beyond I don't want to say letting me do this, but let's be honest, she let me do it. So, but yeah, it was amazing to, and I think she got a little bit more involved in football than she ever expected.
So hey, Megan, thank you. You're fantastic. We're getting married next year, so maybe 4-4 and goal will live stream the wedding.
Coming in hot.
Taking betting lines on it. But hey, thank you so much. Thanks for taking Wyatt. When I can't because of this. And hey, thanks to Wyatt, man. Wyatt needs my attention a lot, and you guys really have helped me with that, and he's helped an insane amount. And thank you to Megan and Wyatt, man. I love you both very much.
I also want to give a big shout out to, honestly, the head coaches and ADs across the board throughout these schools. Steve Cray, amazing guy, always hooked us up. Whether it was him or Butchko over there, which I know he's watching somewhere. He just ain't said nothing yet. He's watching.
Up, man. Butchko is yoked for what we're covering tomorrow.
Yeah.
He is ready for this Super Bowl game. There's another one. Coach Winchell, Nate Winchell now.
Yep.
Before we go too far into the show tonight, we want to remind absolutely everybody, we are covering the Super Bowl, the Freeway League Super Bowl tomorrow. We will also be covering the JV. There's a little additional coverage that you're going to get tomorrow.
Yeah.
So that JV game actually is going to be Conneaut's Freeway League versus Madison's Freeway League. So that's going to be a cool thing too. So you've got JV followed by the varsity, which I don't know too much about the JV, but I do know the varsity guys, Buckeye Gray, undefeated. They got a couple absolute studs on that team. 2 of them are the sons of my friend, because as a girl dad, that's how I watch football now.
Yep.
Two of them, my good friend Theron's sons, and that's Jerez Osborne and Theron Osborne. Going to be watching them very closely tomorrow.
Yes, it's always exciting to watch those little kids run around. I don't know if my mom's watching, but she loves that stuff. She loves seeing the young youth run around. And big shout out to my mom, too, because she probably is watching. But hopefully she's doing all right. She just had surgery on her shoulder, rotator cuff. Seems to be doing good. Checked on her yesterday. She told me don't worry about it tonight. She's good. So just do what she says. Just do what she says. But yeah, it was a really fun season. As everyone probably knows, we started this show, and we really didn't honestly know where it was going to take us. Genuinely,
it changed every week. I mean,
it changed every week. We honestly, when me, Sammy, and Tom put together the week schedule, or for the year, it was on hopes and prayers that they let us in. So that's really what it was, and it was a lot of fun to be able to go in there and talk to them.
We did a trading card show, folks.
Yes.
That's how far we have evolved.
Yes.
We did a trading card show.
Yeah, we did a lot of things just to have a show for a Tuesday night or Thursday night or Friday night, because we kept changing that too, trying to figure out which works best. But it was amazing. It really was. I mean, we went from, I was telling Sammy and Tom earlier in the week, we went from having, 6 viewers on an evening, which was honestly, I'm not going to sit here and lie. One phone was Sammy's, one was mine, and one was Tom's. And then the other 3 was my wife, Sammy's wife, and Megan. And if we got lucky, we had a couple other people checking it out. 8 of the 6 viewers were within our households, and then 2 other people got to go through that travesty that we call the show. Yes, and that's Mel from out at PV, I do believe. Am I saying that right, Sammy?
That's Melody Nowakowski, and if you don't know her, then you are missing out, because she is an amazing person. Treated us well. We love it down there, and you will absolutely see us for basketball, God willing, as long as we have a season, whenever the season is going. And you know what? I think Jefferson and PV play against each other in basketball. So maybe we make this Battle for Route 11 thing. Maybe we take that into basketball season.
Yeah, why not?
And then for anybody who's watching tonight, all the coaches, we're going to be talking about everybody's season tonight. We're going to be talking about players. We're going to be talking about games, all that stuff. All you coaches, anybody involved with the program, if you want to get on here and chop it up, it's a free open mic night. Let us know. Shoot the message. We'll pop you on here. We'd love to hear your take on the end of what was an absolutely wonky, weird, crazy season.
Yep. There'll be never another one like this.
Hopefully.
Oh man, God willing,
yeah, hopefully
be another one like this. But I'll tell you what, the one thing that was good about this season truly was we really got to meet and experience such open arms from people who didn't know us, who like they didn't know us from Adam, like they didn't need to let us come in, could have just been like, hey, like this is just another like little thing. But they really embraced us and really made us feel big, and then that honestly boosted our confidence and made us, better and gave you guys a great product. So definitely shout out to the coaches and athletic directors for, empowering us to do all that, man, because it was through your empowerment that we got the confidence to do that,
Yeah, it was. I think that was probably from the beginning. I think that was the biggest hurdle for us, was trying to introduce ourselves into this, this group of people and get started and stuff like that. There is a little bit for anybody who's played sports. There is a little bit of a mysticism, I guess, getting involved with head coaches and stuff like that. And one of the things I want to say, and this is every single school in the county, every single one without question, the coaches and the coaching staffs were phenomenal.
Yep.
Oh yeah.
Very accessible, very open. They made everything we were doing seem, important, and we thought it was important. So it made everything worthwhile. The athletic directors were fantastic. You know, Mel, Steve, Jason, Mr. Losi from Jefferson, Mr. Taylor from Conneaut, my guy Rock. Those types, these people, athletic directors like that. That's how, if you're watching this now or whenever you're watching it, all of you from all these schools around the county, you just need to know your kids are in wonderful hands.
Yeah.
These student athletes are being guided by true leaders. So, you know, really hats off to them. It's just been outstanding. I mean, you know, every head coach, and it really has been great all year.
Oh, absolutely.
All right. So we had a few things, some advertisers. So we're going to take a quick 30-second break. Let you guys all see my wonderful work. Hopefully everyone enjoys it. I've been nervous about this just because my voice is all over these. Quick 30-second break. Give an advertiser a shout out real quick, and then we'll come back and go right into our next fun show. Here we go. 1 second. Be right back.
440 Gold proudly presents Trilogy Cabinets and Design. Planning a small remodel or building your dream home? From a single display case to cabinetry throughout the entire home, Trilogy Cabinets and Design can help make your vision a reality. Their quality and designs are second to none and are often more affordable than other custom options. If you can dream it, Trilogy Cabinets and Design can build it. Contact Trilogy Cabinet and Designs at 814-683-4511.
Okay, and we are back. It's coming in hot, baby, coming in hot. But yeah, let's get into a little bit of the season this year. Just do a little review, and again, any coaches out there watching that wants to hop on, talk about their team, just shoot us a message on Facebook, and we'll send you the link and get you popped on with us. So, first one I got on the docket here, guys, is going to be Lakeside. Let me bring it up. So the Lakeside Dragons this year, not as successful of a season I wouldn't imagine Coach Buzz Edwards over there at Lakeside will call this accepting, but there was a lot of great things that came out, you know, this year. Sammy did the wonderful presentation here of putting this together. And by the way, everybody, we put this show together tonight in about 25 minutes, and I think we've done more work over the course of that 25 minutes than we did on every single show before this. Just had to put that out there.
All those times our teachers told us to not wait the day before to turn those assignments in, it came into play right here.
Yes, it did.
All those skills worked right here. All of the graphics that are released tonight as we talk about them and stuff like that are going to be released post-show on Instagram and Facebook, so you're always going to have access to those. And then, you know, Tom, I'm pretty sure is writing up a kind of a season wrap-up type of deal. That's going to go to the website. So, you know, Tom writes dope content out there. I mean, there's no other way around it. You know, he writes, I told him before, and this is real, he writes Sports Illustrated-esque types of stuff. So, you know, it'll be out there. It's going to be worth reading. So keep your eyes peeled, because there'll be some stuff popping out there. But let's get into a little bit more of that record. Can you bring that up? It's too bad we can't run that there it is.
Don't worry, I'm a step or four ahead of you, buddy.
Our technical producer, Brian
step or four. Yep. So, hopefully, let me make my screen a little bit bigger. There we go. Now I can see it. So yeah, Lakeside, the 2020 year, the COVID season, if you want to call it that, went 3-7. Again, Sammy did a great job of putting this together real quick, 25 minutes tops. I did have a little help, I did help a little bit, I should say. Mr. J. Sean Sanders, unfortunately, missed the 1,000-yard mark by a single run. I don't know, if I'm Buzz, I'm kind of taking a little video and kind of going back there. There's got to be a yard somewhere. I'm just putting that out there.
Listen, I'm not going to jump way into politics, but, you know, people are finding extras all kind of places right now in the United States. Leave it at that, but I'm pretty sure if they could find about 80,000 of one thing, I think you could have found one extra yard.
Yep. Anywho.
On that fire, boys.
Yeah, right. Passing leader. So Sean Allgood, I mean, those are some pretty good numbers. He came in, I think he didn't start till about week 3, if I recall right. That was, talk about a little bit of drama that came through at once.
Well, actually, he doesn't even start technically until week 4.
Was it week 4?
Against Geneva is when he comes in, and that's on a short week because I want to say, is it Rosh Hashanah?
Yeah, Rosh Hashanah.
Okay, that's that week, so they end up playing on a Thursday. They go into Geneva, who we're going to cover later, and them boys didn't lose too much this year.
Nope.
And Allgood really shows out. And mind you, for those of you watching, Sean Allgood Jr., he's a junior.
Yeah.
You guys get to deal with him a whole nother year, and that means you're going to have to figure out, am I going to go up against the run, or is he going to pass it over top of me? Because the guy can do both.
Yep.
And then if you pay too much attention to him, there's a bowling ball that'll just run you down like a pin.
Yeah, that boy's only a sophomore right now, if I remember correctly.
That is correct.
Yep. And
sorry, Ryan, to interrupt you.
No, you're fine.
So we have 2 underclassmen here showing up big on statistical leaders for Lakeside, but we're showing offense. On the defensive side of the ball, there's an underclassman that led the team in a pretty important category of interceptions. And that would be Mr. Jimmy Timoneer.
Yes,
who came up
freshman.
with 4 interceptions. A freshman. The freshman 4. We talk about gaining the freshman 15. That boy got the freshman 4 interceptions. I'm going to tell you what.
Nice.
He got his first one against Orange, the game-stealing interception. That's when I feel Jimmy Timoneer introduced himself to Ashtabula County football with that game-stealing interception right there. That was dope.
Yeah, I mean,
and then
for a freshman to come into this program, where it's one of the bigger programs in the area. For him to be able to make a mark at a position like that, where, let's be honest with you, defensive backs, they go at you now. It's not like back in the day where you could line up, you could line up a guy that really should be playing linebacker out there because, you need an extra tackler. If you've got concrete hips and bad feet, you're getting, they're going to jump on you.
Mm-hmm. Yep. And then speaking of wide receivers, Mr. Brandon Ford down there hitting it up for 495 yards. Was he the one that made that crazy catch against Chagrin Falls up there? Yeah, I should, if I had a minute, I'd look through I have that archive somewhere. And that was another little tidbit for everyone out there. As you guys notice, every week our stream quality got a little bit better. And then finally, I think it was week 5, we actually bought a video camera. So don't tell anyone, but for the first 4 or 5 weeks, we used a cell phone. But anyways, it was definitely interesting. But yeah, Brandon Ford had quite a few amazing catches. And he's a basketball player, isn't he? He was the first year coming out, senior, decided to try out for some basketball. So
yeah, and there's always a couple that year, that do that. I know that Lakeside is very, very common. Some of the names that come to mind: Rashad Osborne, Emilio Parks did that as well.
Yeah.
There's always there are guys that don't play football until their senior year, and then they come out and they're true athletes, and they do well. But one good thing on a year that didn't go as well as Coach Edwards had, without me getting too emotional about it, because how I felt about that last game. Lakeside at least ends the year on a win in more than one way.
Yep, definitely did. Yep.
So, there's a lot to build on there. And we would be remiss if we don't mention Alec Raffa.
Yeah.
Who's the fastest linebacker in the county. He's the fastest linebacker in the county, and I don't think it's close.
Very true. All right. Next school. I don't know. I'm going to just pick one. I think it's Geneva, or is that Connie? What the heck? What? Huh? Anyways.
Here we go.
Right. Got it. So the Conneaut Spartans, led out there by Coach Rocco Dobrin. I will say next year, we only got to get out to Conneaut one time this year, and I will say the one time that we did get out there, kudos to them because they hooked us up first time I ever felt like we were, well, I won't say that we were wanted, but we walk up to the press box and they got paper with our name on it where we're sitting for nobody else. We had a reserved seat. That was the first time, and I really enjoyed that. It was a lot of fun. Made me feel super special. I'm not going to lie to you. You know, I don't even have one of those at my dinner table. It's kind of first come, first serve at that joint. So,
well, that Spark facility that they have out there is really worth looking at.
Beautiful.
Conneaut, when we played, didn't have what I would call a nice field.
No.
You know, and I remember when we were talking to Coach Dobrin about that, you know, whether they were getting a new field, he said, well, you know, they've completely redone this one. And I wondered, and when we got there, I was pleasantly surprised. Class A facilities out there. Beautiful benches. The press box is huge. You know, you could fit a ton of people in there. You know, it's still community based, as we could see with the bonfire going over in the corner.
Awesome.
And, I mean, Conneaut fans are awesome. They like you gotta love, you love a community based, you know, team like that where everybody's going to come out and support. And I think Conneaut, you know, we actually, you know, going on a side, you know, a little bit of a side bender here. One of the things we talked about this week is a county league. We put out a post calling for the Ashtabula County Athletics Conference, AC Squared as I call it. And you know, we've had some people reach out and they explain a little bit on why it worked, why it doesn't work, stuff like that. We're going to keep talking about it because, you know, if you keep talking about it, someday it might happen. One of the biggest reasons for my own personal push on this is because I think Conneaut's athletes, we are losing out by not keeping them playing Ohio teams.
Yeah.
Jake Slayton threw for almost 1,600 yards this year. Okay?
Yeah.
Like, that's crazy. Jake Slayton threw for almost, let me say that again. Jake Slayton threw for almost 1,600 yards this year.
And remember, he
on
didn't
any
play.
normal year would have been playing all Pennsylvania teams.
Yep.
Correct. And Sammy, I interrupted you a bit there, but the thing to note there is Jake Slayton was absent from one game.
Correct.
And so he threw for 1,600 yards almost, not even playing a full year, which is insane. That kid has all the talent in the world. If he goes to college to play football, they're getting a good quarterback.
Yeah. And, I mean, you know, Tellis Andrews, the Roadrunner. The Roadrunner of Conneaut, Tellis Andrews, almost has 1,000 yards receiving this year. Nobody's close to him. Nobody's even close to that guy. It breaks my heart that he missed 1,000 because that 33 yards is one slant pattern away. Because when Slayton hit him on a slant over the middle, you could call it quits. I don't know if free safeties were afraid to hit him or if they were just getting, you know, too worried about Zach Rice or what. But when that dude hit slant patterns, the only other person who was getting more yards on a slant pattern pass in the county was a guy named Isaiah Harris. That was it.
That was it. Yeah.
Yeah, but so like you got, and then Zach Rice, he was our week, was that 8? I think it was player of the week.
Yes.
Yeah, week 8 player of the week, put up 691 rushing yards. But yeah, there's not very many receivers in the county that can do almost 1,000 yards. I mean, in the NFL, I hate to go that far with it, but I mean, OBJ didn't have 1,000 yards last year. Tell you that right now.
Yes,
but whatever, I don't care.
1,010.
Call it what you want. It was close, but for a high school situation, you know, and I know high school sports are evolving. It's not what it was 20 years ago. That's everything. In my mind, it's stuck at 20 years ago because that's the last time I played and really, you know, followed it. But now having 977 yards in the season is pretty amazing. So good.
Yeah, and they managed big wins over Grand Valley, Edgewood, Cardinal, Middlefield, our good friend George Fresco out there.
Yep.
And then Girard, PA. You know, they grabbed some big wins. And really, Warren JFK, for them to play them to a 6-0 game is impressive.
Yes.
Oh, yeah.
You know, so Conneaut Spartans end the year 4-6. It was not. I guarantee you, no coach wants to go 4-6. But you know what? You guys put it together at the end, rattled off 2 consecutive wins over Cardinal and Girard after meeting an unfair pool in Cardinal Mooney.
Yeah.
I mean, let's be fair. Kudos to them, Coach Rocco, and the whole Conneaut Spartans place. I can't wait till basketball season. I keep telling people, you don't know. These guys don't know about the stage group. They're going to learn today.
They're going to learn today.
All right, let's bring up the next squad. Give me 1 second here.
I don't know what goes on. Freaks me out every time.
We got okay.
There's them boys. The Edgewood
What's
Warriors.
that? Edgewood ending the season 3-7. Mr. Brian Bisbee, BPB, we're running all over the field out over there. He was our week 3 player of the week, if I recall right. Maybe it was 5-3. Yeah, so 5 touchdowns. He ran for like 275 yards that game. Just, that was Grand Valley. That's right. He tore Grand Valley up. I'm not going to lie to you. He had a great game against Grand Valley.
Worth mentioning, too, he has 778 yards rushing in an offense that really doesn't rush the ball a whole lot. But he also has over 300 yards passing, too. So Brian Bisbee, senior, one of the few seniors on this Edgewood team, responsible for 1,000 yards in a very, very potent offense. So, hats off to BPB. He knows we love him. We give that kid a bunch of love around here, and nobody deserves it more than him because that kid is an awesome kid on and off the field. We talked up earlier in the season, too. After that Grand Valley game, we go back. I want to say that was the week I went to cover the Freeway League the first time. Go over there to cover that, and who's there but Brian Bisbee cleaning up and picking stuff up after the kids. And,
that's right.
Just being a stand-up guy. So Coach Butchko and them, they're losing a big piece out of him. But whatever he decides to do, whether college or whatever he's trying to get into, they are gaining a great person. So BPB, hats off to you on a fantastic season. And then we move on to that passing guy. He's got a little R.
Yeah.
A little R next to his number.
I got to bring up this image. This is going to be a memorable image, and I think, my honest opinion, we should probably frame this thing and send it over to Edgewood. This is one of probably the most, I would say, fun nights of the year. We did that game. We had let me just bring it back up. We had a tough time deciding what to do, but then we realized that this record was 29 years old, and these two guys here. It was 29 years in the making to make this happen, and Mr. Winchell breaks that record. It was really an amazing moment for us to cover. Amazing to be part of that, because that's Ashtabula history. Another reason why 440 and goal was brought onto the scene. That's what we kind of wanted to do, was make sure this stuff doesn't just go to the wayside. We want to make sure this stuff is known and why it's so important for Ashtabula County. So kudos to Zach Winchell.
Coach Sean Freeman from TV Lakers was the record holder with, I want to say, 2,090 yards was the record. Held that since '88, so I think that's 30 years. I don't know, my math might be off.
Yeah.
Oh, I thought it was 29. My bad. Call it what you want. It was a long time.
It's a long time. And so it's 30 or a little bit more years there. Holds that record. And the planets just all aligned right, where Zach Winchell, or as I like to call him, Dr. Winchell, because he's a surgeon with that thing in his hand. Dr. Winchell goes out and gets to break the record. From the record breaker, we get a moment where, a passing of the torch actually occurs.
Yeah. That was an amazing moment to watch that. I did get it on video, so anyone that's out there that would love to see that one more time. And there's Tom with his signed football by Mr. Winchell. But anyone wants it. Is it Butchko on there? Of course Butchko's on there with his NFL-esque signature over there.
He told us, he said, I've done this before. I said, I don't doubt it, Coach. And another thing worth talking about there, too, Isaiah Harris with 830 yards. Ends the season in second place, Tom?
Yeah, so he ends it in second place despite missing 3 games. Okay, so he misses 3 games, finishes with 830 receiving yards, and he's the one who actually caught the pass from Zach, which broke the record. And Isaiah finished the year with 6 receiving touchdowns as well. So hats off to Isaiah for just putting out an absolute terrific year. He's a good player.
And also, everyone out there, just so who's watching, just know these 2 players that we're talking about.
They'll be back.
They'll be back. They will be.
Yeah, so, Edgewood getting big wins over Grand Valley, a big win over Harvey, and a big win over Jefferson in a absolute
barn burner. It was a good one. It really was, yeah.
Boy, was that fun to cover for the Hoadley Cup. That was fun. That was one of the most fun. I'll be honest with you, we've covered some great games this year. There are tons of them. And it's just the beginning because I think you're going to see in basketball too that a lot of these teams are neck and neck.
Yeah.
So, but yeah, so Edgewood, they've got some great wins. The playoff losses, even that playoff loss against CVCA, people don't take into account. Edgewood was getting them boys to begin with. They throw that onside and a couple touchdowns, and here we are. And at the end, it doesn't go their way. But Edgewood Warriors, nothing to hang your head on. Even that last game against PV was an absolute classic. Back and forth. PV, who we're going to talk about later on, undefeated in regular season play. So, the Edgewood Warriors, it was super fun to watch. Corlew was like a second home this year. It was great. We loved it. Basketball season's coming up, and I can't wait to see what kind of Warrior basketball comes out.
Yep. I can't wait to see them kids jump out of the gym. But real quick before we go to the next one, a quick message from our sponsors.
440 and Gold presents Made in Ohio. Made in Ohio makes custom t-shirts, hoodies, banners, jerseys, and more. With the fastest turnaround time in Ashtabula, 440 and Gold is proud to have Made in Ohio as its official Player of the Week sponsor. Contact Made in Ohio at 440-964-9057 or visit Made in Ohio at 1028 Bridge Street in beautiful, historic Ashtabula Harbor. Also, check Made in Ohio out on Facebook for upcoming Black Friday sales for the holiday season.
All right, and we are back. Let's bring up the next one on the docket. Them PV boys with the PV3 having, I think, one of the best records. I think them and Geneva were in contention together. I can't remember exactly what it turned out to be.
I guess technically PV would have the best record because they have one less loss, but they play one less game.
Right.
So PV has one less game because they have a bye week because they kicked so much butt during the regular season, ending the year 8-1, losing to Mogador, who is a annual playoff contender. And one of the things I think that's going to stick out here are the low statistical numbers for this team. Let me kind of, I guess, put a bow on this to wrap this up a little bit. These guys, if you look at the scores, through the regular season give up 7 points. 14 points all year. They did not play more than a half until playoffs. Nobody on that team none of their starters played a full half or a full game until the playoffs. So the statistics aren't going to show you the true dominance of this team. We got to see it firsthand.
I was just thinking about something. We have a record here that I don't think we talked about.
I believe you're talking about points on the year.
Yes, we do, because I do believe, if I recall, the record is not 72.
72 on the year.
Is it? I'd have to look it up. Okay, so, and I know there's only here. Yep, so this would mean PV gave up, 41 regular season points for the year.
Yeah, they gave up 41 regular season points. They gave up 27 to Edgewood, 7 to Fairport, and 7 to Fairport. So 14 to Fairport and 27 to Edgewood. So God.
Yeah, and even if you count the playoff points too, they're still way under 72.
Yep.
So, something. How about that, PV? Another record that you can take with you is the least points allowed in a single year.
Yep.
They got guys. Tyler Bean ends up with 829 yards, which is a fantastic outing for a guy who plays all in all 3 regular season games.
Right. I was gonna say, yeah, like the first 6, he only played. He probably didn't play to the second quarter.
Right. And
yeah,
they rushed the ball all over. Dylan Knowles had huge weeks to get those numbers because he was another one who just didn't play. Jonah Wilkerson. They really had a great group of guys out there. Verba. Inman is arguably the best corner in the county.
6 interceptions, like Tom's putting out there for the season.
You can argue against him for whatever if you have your own personal preference. But I'm going to tell you what, if there's a pass that needs to get broke up, I'm putting my money on Mason Inman because that kid, Hillsdale was actively trying him all game, and he made them pay for it.
Yes, he did. So 6 interceptions on the year, but he has a teammate, Mr. Andrew Root, who also contributed big time defensively. And if I remember correctly, I need to see here, I think Andrew Root finished the year with 3 interceptions.
Yeah, he ends the year with 3. And this PV Lakers team is really special. There's a lot of seniors on this team. But, nothing to worry about to the awesome folks of Andover who we got. I cannot wait to get back there this year. Next year. I cannot, because that is football nation down there. I'm talking about trucks in the field, beeping the horns when they score.
Oh boy, doing backflips.
Dude did a backflip off the truck.
Yes.
They scored.
Oh boy.
I mean, that is high school football. That's 14th Ohio football. We love you guys in PV. We cannot wait. Cannot wait.
Literally let us go on they raised the roof for us. We'll go that route.
Yeah, it was awesome. It was awesome.
Yep.
They're taking their lone loss on the year to Mogador. Like we said. So, PV, hats off to you on a magical, fantastic season in a year that shouldn't have happened. Really.
Correct.
That is for sure. All right, next on the docket. Let me get rid of that one, hit a few buttons. Here we go. Boom, boom, boom. And we got it. The St. John Fighting Heralds. Yeah, our boy Rock over there, the AD. Marcus Parker, he was the D-back and wide receiver coach, I do believe. Head coach, Mr. Delgosh. Definitely an interesting year, but as you can see, St. John was not much of a running team this year. Rushing leader Seth Thomas only with 105 yards on the season. But coming back, and like most schools in our area, minus, I would say, Geneva, they like to throw the ball. Seth Thomas, 1,128 yards over there at St. John, slinging that ball around, and then Mr. Davey DeSalvatore catching 587 of those 1,128. So
David DeSalvatore is one of the biggest wide receiving targets out here. The kid's an absolute monster when it comes to height and size, and he spent a ton of time with their strength and conditioning coach, Alvin Rodriguez. He was a godsend to, coaches like Curtis Turner on defense because all that strength, led him to be, was he in first or second place in TFLs? He was somewhere in that number.
Right now.
But as Tom's looking that up, he has a great year, but there's another kid on that team to keep your eyes open for. And that kid is Tyler Cathcart, who toward the end of the year was making big plays for the St. John Herald, as well as Demario Hanna, who was fighting through injuries periodically throughout the year. So,
David DeSalvatore is tied for third.
Okay.
With another big wide receiver, Tellis Andrews. They tied for 12 tackles for a loss on the year.
And also worth mentioning here, for those of you who are the math majors out there, St. John only plays 8 games. So, unfortunately, because of the way the year ended, they don't get their 2 extra games. They did opt out of the playoffs just simply because of injuries and, team issues. So they get 8 games this year. And Seth Thomas, how about over 1,000 yards in 8 games?
Yep.
That's crazy.
I don't know when Ashton Beulah turned into the Big 12. We got quarterbacks that love to throw the ball out here. It's outstanding. I love it.
Yes, and one thing to note, and I hate to do this to Sammy because it's technically my fault. St. John did go 3-6, not 2-6. Chalker, and Fairport.
Yeah, well, that is actually incorrect. Fairport should say L.
Okay, so then you are correct then, except for the W. I apologize.
Yes, okay, yeah.
I thought that was a little weird, but anyways, again, we put the show together in about 20 minutes. Anywho, moving on. Let me open the new one here. Exit out of this one. Gosh.
Another guy from St. John worth mentioning is Devin the Machine Mercilus.
Yeah, man, that kid was everywhere this year, wasn't he?
Oh my God, yeah.
Yeah, he was. He was.
On every single tackle, Devin Mercilus. You see, so Devin Mercilus, before we get into Jefferson, Devin Mercilus at number 23 for the St. John Herald, not a very big kid. He's not small, but he's when you look at him, you're not thinking like that kid is going to tackle everybody on the team. And then you start covering a St. John game, and you hear Devin Mercilus on the tackle, Devin Mercilus in on the tackle,
Yep.
Devin Mercilus on the, and you're like, what is going on? He's an absolute animal.
He's everywhere on the field.
5 tackles on the year.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, just absolutely outstanding.
8 games.
8 games.
8 games, 90 tackles. All right, bringing it back up here. So your 2020 Jefferson Falcons end the season on a 3-7 record. But big Mr. Brockman, who we talked about a lot.
Sonic, baby.
Sonic. Hitting
Sonic
it.
the Hedgehog was out there getting those Chaos Emeralds.
Yep. Is that what they're called? I did not know that.
Yeah, those are the emeralds, man.
I thought they were rings. Well, you got to get the rings to get to the emeralds, then, right?
That's correct.
Oh, gotcha. Anyways, Brockman ending the year 1,486 yards rushing. And Mr. Grant Hitchcock, our Week 10 Player of the Week, really started to come into his own. It was really nice to see that. And 1,190 yards on the year. And Mr. Trent Hodge, 645 yards. I know Sammy called out Hodge quite a few times, saying to watch out for him, and he had, a quality season this year.
I want to say Trent Hodge is another one that that is awesome.
Yep.
That is awesome. I want to say that Trent Hodge is a junior too. He's either a junior or a sophomore. I know he's not graduating, so you're going to want to keep your eyes peeled for Trent Hodge because if you don't, he's going to be catching touchdown passes on you.
Yep.
Grant Hitchcock is a sophomore. Danny Brockman is going to be the biggest loss, I think, this year. Seniors, it's a tough loss anyway to lose seniors. Jefferson was down to 4 this year, but they're not just losing 1,500 yards rushing. They're losing a leader. They're losing a guy who kept the team together in tough games. Hubbard really, it could have gotten out of hand. Hubbard is a very, very good team. We saw firsthand the Girard game, even though it's 42-17, most of that is second half stuff because that first half of that game was not like that at all. Martins Ferry, they lose 36-21 to a top-level team out here. Okay? Martins Ferry is an annual playoff contender, and that was the most competitive of the playoff games. Mm-hmm. Okay? So, I think a lot, we asked Danny when he was on here who he kind of leaned on. We asked Grant Hitchcock who he kind of leaned on. I'm pretty sure that a lot of those teammates kind of leaned on Danny because when the going was tough, whether, they were down by 14 or 21 or whatever, when it was time for Sonic to hit the outside, he was running with everything he had. And
Yep.
kudos to him. He's a great kid. He's going to be a great man. And I'm sure that Jefferson is trying to reload, but and you know what, Jefferson does a good job of keeping their alumni around for stuff like that. So I'm sure he'll be involved. And my best wishes to Danny Brockman as he still has to choose where he's going. We'll keep track of that too. But Brandon Hanna's got some guys coming back.
Yes, he does.
And with Trent Hodge and Grant Hitchcock. And another guy that's worth talking about out here is Jacob Sabo. Jacob Sabo didn't get a lot of love this year because he doesn't make I don't think he even plays offense. I know on the defense he's an absolute tackle hound. I love that kid. Loved watching him play all year this year. I called him for my player of the game a couple times because he's just a tackle monster in a team that, let's be honest, people were trying to come out and just score on him at will. And toward the end of the year, Jefferson put it together.
Yes, they sure did.
So you can look at this record and you're like, oh, yeah, they only got 3 wins. Well, listen, they got 3 wins, and they're coming back next year stronger and ready to fight. I'm really looking forward to see this Jefferson Falcons team next year.
What was so cool about the Jefferson Falcons is that it was marked improvement every week. Every week you saw something and with a guy like Coach Hanna and a guy like Coach Rankin, they're looking for that marked improvement every week. You know what I mean? And it was just there. You saw Grant Hitchcock evolve as a passer. We knew he had the wheels, man. I mean, that was apparent from off the rip.
Well, they have a really cool, the differences in coaching in Jefferson are I think it's a very good mix. Yeah. In Hanna and Collins and Henson and Rankin. You know what I mean? They've got a lot of things going on and a lot of different types of coaching. And what it ends up being is a very well-rounded football team.
I was going to say, right. Collins, he was right. Collins was he was head coach at PV. Mm-hmm. Henson was head coach for the Falcons at one point in time, and then obviously you have the head coach, and Brandon Hanna has quite a few years' experience playing some football, as we all know. So they've done a great job out there. They really have, and like I said, I mean, honestly, if we could, I guess, suggest a most improved player of the year. My opinion is going to go to Mr. Grant Hitchcock.
Without a doubt, it's Grant Hitchcock would be most
he honestly started the season pretty slow, and I'm not going to sit here and beat around the bush. He had quite a few interceptions, but then it's almost like started clicking. I do believe Hanna said they bought in, and that's when you see these games, that they come out, honestly, the Connie Jefferson game, I thought it was going to be a lot closer. I really did. And Jefferson came out and did what they had to do to win that game. But I am very excited to see the Falcons in 2021. I think it's going to be very interesting next year to watch them and seeing Mr. Hitchcock, because he's a sophomore?
He's a sophomore. That
sophomore.
Great, man.
So he's a sophomore. He's got 1 year of development now. He's got the varsity letter on his jacket, and now he's got to show up and show out next year because that's what he's going to be looking for. And he's got a good path to go on. He's got a great educator over there that's been in the same position as him. So,
yeah.
All right. Well, I think last but not least, if I recall, hold on one second. On mouse, the 2020 Geneva Eagles, coached by Chip Sorber and the gang over there at Geneva at Spire. A lot of fun this year over at Geneva.
Overlook that the man, the myth, the legend, Jay Corlew, and you can't forget about Matt Pete, the dude who gets hyped like nobody's business out there. Coach he is the quiet storm. They got some great coaches over there. Chip Sorber was our guy. We covered an absolute ton of Geneva in the beginning, and it was an absolute blast.
Listen, we kicked off the season. Our first game was Geneva versus Madison, and we got to go back to Yost is the most. Coming back, that game-winning kick. I know we probably actually. I wonder what his numbers were for the year, because Geneva was one of the few. Do we? Okay. Say Geneva was one of the few schools that I know that actually kicked religiously. A lot of schools, they went to the 2-point conversion and went for it, but Geneva, they were kind of, they run that wing tee. We talked about it all year, and we're going to talk all about it next year too. But they were able to go through and have a heck of a season, coming in 8-2. Big wins, a couple tough losses. Obviously, that Chardon playoff loss was tough, but Chardon, I'm not going to lie, is a powerhouse this year. I just seen the update against Canfield, and they smoked Canfield. Yeah. But other than that, they had a great season. The only other loss came against Perry, 49-14, which that is weird to me. I'm not going to lie. I don't know what happened there. But so that's just my opinion.
Perry has Division I football players on that team.
Yes, they do.
They got a kid going to West Virginia. They got another kid going to Mac School, I believe.
Yes.
So Perry's legit. Perry is absolutely legit, which is, in turn, lets you know that Lakeside is nowhere near as bad as people thought they were.
Correct.
But this Geneva Eagles team, when you look at so one of the things that's going to stick out for people is wide receiving yards. The leader only has 100 yards, and for passing yards, Sabone only ends up with 424. Actually, I think that's wrong. I think he ends up with 525. I could be wrong, but I want to say he ended the year with 525. But I mean, it doesn't really matter. He's not known as a passer in this league. But what does matter for this is they have 3 guys that are averaging over 6 yards a carry.
Yep.
In Geneva. So
I mean, there was one game. Didn't they have 9 different ball carriers in the game?
I'm sorry. He did end the year with 424. I was correct. And
but that's part of that wing tee. But yeah.
Yeah, like it's ridiculous how many rushing yards they end up with this year. So Scabona, let's start with Taylor. Taylor ends up over the 1,000-yard mark, 1,140 yards. Okay, that's on only 140 attempts with 17 touchdowns. But also you have Scabona with 600 yards, Brady Pete with 484 yards. Like, dude, they run the heck out of the ball.
Yep.
Like, and you know that they're going to do it. That's the kicker with Geneva, is they're going to do it. One of our personal friends got on here and gave listen, I could stop that run. Listen, brother, I don't think so.
Nope.
Because there's a ton of people who said, we'll throw 11 in the box if we have to.
Yep.
And it just doesn't work. They got a system that is one of the toughest nuts to crack. And I want to say something else too. We covered that youth game or the junior high game, and they're just reloading.
Yes, they are.
They're just reloading because they got a couple kids down there in the 7th and 8th grade level. A kid named Luca, and a kid, I want to say his name is Hayden. If I'm remembering, it was either Hayden or something like that. But man, those kids are coming up. They're natural running backs. They're going to go into a wing tee, and they're already well versed in the wing tee. Like Coach Pete and Coach Sorber, I mean, people just are handing them. They're like, here's a good running back. They're like Oprah. You get a running back, and you get a running back, and you get a running back.
Yeah. So big shout out to the Geneva Eagles this year. It was really fun to watch you guys. We did have quite a few Eagles on the play of the week again. Yost is the most, and then Mr. Scabona. I think he was around. Yeah, it was around week 4, maybe week 2. Well, were they? Okay. Yeah, it's always fun to watch them. You just never know what's going to happen. So
and, they got a couple guys on there that obviously aren't going to, and I'm surprised Ryan didn't talk about them. Because they deserve some love out here. They rushed for about 5 million yards this year.
Yep.
And they can't rush for about 5 million yards without big guys up on the front, like a guy named Messina, and another big guy by the name of Matt Grzinski. I mean, they've got absolute monsters on the line out there. So the Hogs did the work, and the running backs got the fame.
Typical day. So real quick, guys, we got another message from one of our sponsors. I want to give this shout out before we get towards the tail end of the show here.
Tri-Fin Charters, Northeast Ohio's premier multi-species guide service. Captain Mark Diedrich is here to set up your trip of a lifetime. Catfish, walleye, steelhead, crappie, perch, and more. Mosquito Lake, Lake Erie, Ohio River, or even Pymatuning Reservoir. Tri-Fin Charters, where dreams become reality. 440-228-5744.
I'm going to tell you what. We might go 4-4-0 and goal on try.
You never know. Yep.
Hey. Don't tempt me with a good time, Mark.
Got me a Steely, baby!
I'm going steelheading next Sunday. Not this Sunday, but next Sunday.
Are you?
Can't wait. Might live stream some of that. Who knows, boy?
Oh, man. So, I think that's all the teams, right? We didn't miss anyone. I don't want to mess up. Yeah. Yeah, so I don't... Let's see.
Well, we talked about Lakeside. We talked about Conneaut. We talked about Edgewood. We talked about PV. We talked about St. John. And we just talked about Geneva.
Okay, good. I just want to make sure we didn't miss anybody.
No, it has been a phenomenal season. It has been special from the top to the bottom. We have developed very special relationships with every school out here. I think each of us can agree that this has turned into something more than we definitely thought it was going to in March, April, when this whole thing started.
Yep.
We are forever in debt to you guys. We have gotten a bunch of swag, and we're still looking to get some more. I can't wait to. We've got a ton of football stuff, and pretty soon we're going to get hoop stuff. It's going to be awesome.
Do they still do breakaway pants?
Oh, I
think they do. You know what, Ellen Brockman, I do want to answer this because we do owe an explanation on this.
Yeah, you're right. Go ahead.
So she asked about Grand Valley, and the reason why we didn't put Grand Valley on here is only because we didn't get a chance to cover them live. So that is going to get changed because during basketball season, we are making our way to Orwell. At some point, depending on God willing that we have a season and that we're going to be able to get in there and we'll be allowed and stuff like that. So as long as we can get in there, every effort's going to be made. But we didn't put them on there simply because we didn't get to cover them this year.
Yeah.
Next year that's going to change too because we're gonna get out there. We're kind of learning, I think, right, guys? Like,
no, yeah. I mean, this was a trial and error period for us. I mean, honestly, again, we started out the season with a cell phone, genuinely a cell phone, and then all of a sudden, I got a camera. All of a sudden, Sammy shows up with mics. All of a sudden, Tom's writing these crazy articles. All of a sudden, we're like seeming somewhat legit, and I don't know how we did it. You know, none of us went to school for it. We all did it, honestly, for the love of Ashtabula County. We all love Ashtabula County, and that's why we're here. That's why we do it on a week-to-week basis. You know, we wish we had more time. Just remember, guys, we all work our 9 to 5 too, just like everybody else, and we stretch our time out as much as we can. But we are going to make, you know, we do know in the back of our mind we only got the Connie out once. We do know in the back of our mind we only got the Jefferson once. It should have been twice. But it is what it is, you know.
2020.
Right. You know, just know that, you know, this is just the beginning for 4-4-0 and goal. You know, we are saying farewell to the 2020 football season, but we are saying hello to the 2020-2021, depending on how you want to look at it, how everything goes, basketball season. And I'm pumped. I'm pumped about basketball. I honestly, I don't watch.
I don't know how the Geneva coverage is going to work yet. We're still working kinks out with that. But at some point, we're going to. I got to see if Brzezinski's done. Because I didn't realize how
he's got to. He's got the mullet, right? If I recall, he's got a mullet. Yeah. But I just want to see him, like, bring it back and that hair just, like, waving in the wind back here. And just, Hadouka! Yes. Yeah, we got to get him to get like a Jerry curl mullet going on. Even better, baby.
It's going to be a fun season. I'm really pumped for basketball. we've just now started to actually contact some of the coaches, and we're going to try and do a similar thing that we did with the football, where we're going to try and get coaches on here on a weekly basis.
Thanks, Patty.
We're going to try and get coaches here on a weekly basis. We're going to try and get some mini interviews. I think we're going to have a little bit of time because the regular season isn't supposed to start until like closer to December. There'll be previews and stuff like that. And you know how it is. Here we play it by ear, and we're going to cover as much as we possibly can. But in the wintertime, there's also another sport that happens besides basketball, and that's the other thing too. Ladies, we haven't forgot about you.
Yep.
There will be some female coverage on here. We're trying to work out logistics. That's why we haven't put schedules out and stuff like that. I'm not even sure if we're going to put out a year full of schedule. We might do it kind of a week or every 2 week type of thing. But there's going to be some girls' games on here. Also, you can look for us to share any girls' game streams. Will be shared to the page because you ladies, your sports matter. You athletes matter. You females matter. We don't want you to think that you don't because we're not, covering a ton of you right now. That's why we pushed out a bunch of volleyball. And trust me, the last thing you want us to do this year is cover volleyball because we don't know anything about it. We're like, this one hits to that one. Who hits to that one?
Yep.
But, that stuff's coming. But so that's the basketball side. But, as Tom was talking to somebody on Facebook today, we're going to do our best to maybe grab a wrestling match or two.
Yep. Yeah, hopefully it just depends. Honestly, wrestling is going to be interesting, especially with COVID, the uptick that we're seeing. We don't really know what the regulations are going to be. I mean, honestly, during football season, we were all spaced apart, 6 foot. You had to stick with your family, every other bleacher. All this happens indoors, and there's 2 people grappling. I think that's what it's called. I don't know. Give them the forearm shiv, call it a day, baby. Whatever. I have no idea. The closest thing to wrestling I know is WWE, and my son knows how to do a frog splash, and let me tell you, it ain't no good because it always happens to me. But
frog splash in wrestling. But
I'm in a nickname. If we cover wrestling, somebody's gonna get the nickname with that move. The frog splash, but there's no special moves like in wrestling, right? No, yeah, okay. I mean, I don't know. I'm not going to sit here and pretend like I know. I mean, if someone throws down the crippler crossface, it is what it is. I'm calling what it is. You know what I mean? The crippler crossface, though.
I'm pretty sure Pat Buddy ripped my nose off when Sammy was a junior and I was a freshman. I'm pretty sure he destroyed my nose.
This is what a crossface looks like when it's
done. But yeah, so we're going to do everything we can to catch a couple wrestling matches. Again, we don't know how it's going to go. From our perspective, hopefully they just let us in the gym. That's just that's just what it is. So
on a great day, like the most optimistic outlook on it is if there is some sort of an invitational where we can catch as many people as we can.
Yep.
I don't know that'll happen. We really gotta play it by ear. But listen, fall sports is left. Winter sports is upon us. We're here. We're ready to go. Keep your eyes peeled. We're going to try and keep some coaches. We're going to get some coaches on here. We've had a couple reach out. We've reached out to a couple as well. Going to try and get some guys on here and treat it just kind of like we did before. Some of the guys that we talked about during football are going to get talked about during this winter season. Charlie Taylor, for instance, from Geneva, is a state-level wrestler. He's phenomenal on the mat. Brandon Ford and Jonah Wilkerson are 2 of the better guards in the county. There are guys out here that are going to really, raise the bar. And for some of them, football was their second sport. You know what I mean?
Yep.
So it's going to be fun. St. John has the guy that's really, really good. Really, really good. Heavyweight. So wrestling's going to be fun to watch. Me and Tom have a little bit more passion for it than Ryan. Wrestling's going to get...
I'll have passion to make the wrong call the entire time. I'm going to say something wrong, and you guys are both going to look at me like I'm a fool, and I'll accept it. I have no problem with that. No, that's not the crippler crossface, or they don't do drop kicks in wrestling. I get it, but it'll be fun to watch. And there's nothing wrong with learning. I like new wrinkles in the brains. I mean, or in the brain, it's always fun to learn about it. And honestly, my son has been wanting to do it. So, but I do believe his thought process is the same as mine. So it could be a big fail for him. Who knows? But yeah.
Yeah, that's what's going. Before we get off, Ryan, let's throw the end of the year leaders out here.
Oh,
that's what it ended up being.
Well, let's see. Which one is that? Because let's see. Copy of copy of copy.
Well, let me see.
You pick it, because I don't know which.
Copy, yeah.
There's two of them. I'm going to pick one. Here we go. Nope, we picked the same one. There you go. So you guys can see week 11 or end of the year statistical leaders, passing yards, which we all know that Mr. Winchell is number one in that category with 2,365 yards, 8 touchdowns, 8 interceptions on that year.
Well, that would be 18 touchdowns. And
18. I did say 18 in my mind. I just didn't say it verbally. So you just leave me alone. Leading rushing would be Mr. Danny Brockman over there, 1,400. Sonic the Hedgehog, 1,486 yards on 258 rushing attempts and 20 touchdowns. That man scored 120 points for the Jefferson Falcons.
20-piece chicken nugget.
Yeah, boy. Collecting rings and eating nuggets at the same time. Tellis Andrews out at Conneaut High School. 53 receptions and 977 yards with 10 touchdowns. Amazing year for these guys. It was really so fun to watch and be part of. But let's bring up the, I think the other one's defensive, I'm going to assume, right, Sammy?
Some defensive boys.
Coming in hot. Go ahead, guys. You take this one. I've been yelling too much.
Tom, talk about the tackles.
Talk about the tackles, Tom.
All right, so,
Tackling Tom.
Tackling Tom, baby. So for tackles, we got Anthony Noon from Conneaut coming in hot with 105 or 100.5 total tackles on the year. So the way that we did our formula was you get a point for solo, you get a point for tackle for loss, and you get a point for sack. You get half a point for an assisted tackle. So you add all that together. We kind of came up with a cool Excel formula that calculated it all for us. And that's where we got our numbers. Anthony Nunes led it with 100.5. Devin Mercilus, the machine, 90.5 from St. John. The king, Savion Colbert, homecoming king for Lakeside, 85 tackles. Fastest linebacker in the country, or in the county, maybe the country, I don't know. AJ Rapper with 81. Ringing the bell, Jake Bell, 76. Lane Herman from Conneaut with 72. Batman, as I call him, Zach Rice from Conneaut with 71.5. And Zane Francis, that just unit of a human being over at Geneva with 70.
Yeah, Zane Francis, definitely one of the most under-heralded guys in the county. Zane Francis is responsible for keeping those scores low for that Geneva Eagles defense. Hard-nosed kid, hard-hitting kid. Deserves a lot of kudos because, Geneva, I think people tried to throw on them a lot, and, people would throw in the flats and stuff like that, and Zay Francis would go over there and just clean them completely out. Which brings us to our next category is going to be the tackles for losses, and that's big Anthony Donahue with 14 of those things. Anthony Donahue spent the entire year in the backfield. Every game we covered for Lakeside, Anthony Donahue was harassing a quarterback. He was back in the backfield, hitting running backs. I watched him, mess up the quarterback to running back exchange a couple times. He's an absolute phenom. He is one that you're going to want to pay attention to, particularly in the spring, because he is a state-level track runner on the hurdles. Coming in second on the year is the barn. My boy, Big Pete, Troy Peterson out of Edgewood High School with 13. Loved watching that kid. Really great offensive lineman as well, but defensive line is where he makes his money. Seth Enos, youngster for the Edgewood Warriors. 13 of those things. The road runner. When he's not catching passes, he's keeping them from throwing passes. With 12 tackles for losses. David DeSalvatore, ladies and gentlemen, 12 tackles for loss on the year with 8 games played. Absolutely phenomenal. Wade Woodworth from Jefferson High School ends with 10. Ben Scabona, when he's not throwing the ball or running the ball on offense, is getting TFLs as well with 9.5. And, of course, if you're the fastest running or a linebacker in the county, A.J. Rapp are going to have plenty of TFLs there too with 9. Those are your statistical leaders for the 2020 season in the tackles for loss.
I'll tell you, I'm taking the next one because these boys put their fingers in the dirt. Ain't no other way to get it that way. Lane Herman, I'll tell you what. Troy Peterson, kudos to you. I love you, man. The barn, my dog, all that fun jazz. But Lane Herman came up screaming the past, like the last 3 games of the season. Coming in hot. Yeah, coming in hot with 8 sacks on the season over there at Conneaut High School. Wade Woodworth over at Jefferson High School coming in with 5. Back to Troy Peterson once again from Edgewood High School with 4. Huge shout out to this next one. And you guys might ask why. The viewers, Sam, Tom, you both know why. But Garrett Siebenek coming in with 4. Garrett faced a little diversity this year. Came in, I don't know, I won't call it lost his spot. He moved up into a little bit of a better spot, in my opinion. Started playing linebacker and D-end over there at Lakeside High School. Coming up with 4 sacks after he started 3 or 4 games at quarterback. So in a 6-game period, he had 4 sacks. So and then there are 7 other players tied with 3 sacks for the year.
Yeah, and Garrett Siebenek is another.
Did I say that right? I feel like you guys are looking at me.
No, I didn't realize until seeing that kid live and in person. He's another one. He's an absolute giant.
Yep, he's about 6'3" and like 215 or something like that. He's a big kid.
Well, maybe
big
it's
kid.
because I'm 5'3" and everybody looks bigger to me. But I thought that kid stood about 6'4", 6'5", and you know what I mean. He's from Ashtabula, but the kid's country fed, so he's a big kid, and he's also a junior returning on that Dragons defense next year.
Yep.
So if I can throw it out real quick, we talked about who our most improved player. We threw Mr. Hitchcock out there, and that's a great pick. But if you guys wanted just a little like spin from me, I would put my money on Garrett Siebenek for being our most improved player in the county because he went to a position that like he wasn't slated to start at, and he slid into that role and got 4 sacks and made an impact on defense and lined up at tight end a few times. And I would say over the course of the year, his improvement going into a new role is what I kind of think. And I'm getting tongue-tied here. My pick would be 1A would be Grant Hitchcock, 1B would be Garrett Siebenek for most improved player of the year.
You brought up a good point, Tom, and with Garrett Siebenek next year too, look for this kid at tight end. Yeah, he's a big target. He's a big target who used to play quarterback. So they run routes a little bit differently. They see the lanes a little bit differently. So tight ends are a quarterback's best friend. Look for Garrett Siebenek next year. Watch that kid. And then the final category is interceptions.
INTs. Baby, so one of the most. You going or am I going? Who's going? I'm gonna go if no one goes. Here we go. Here we go.
I'll go top guy.
All right.
Tom can have the second
top guy.
Can have the third guy. All right. So top guy is my guy. One of the PB3, Mason Inman. Access denied. Ain't happening. I'm coming, call him Mr. Steal Your Girl, Mason Inman.
Mr. Steal Your Girl.
Mr. Steal Your Girl, Mason Inman. 6 interceptions on the year. Every one of them at a huge point in the game. He gets 6 while another guy on his team is getting 3. So Inman really has to make his money. You got to pick your poison out there in Andover when you're throwing the ball, and both of those guys are going to make you pay for it. But Mason Inman with 6 county-leading interceptions on the year. Kudos, hats off to you, Mr. Steal Your Girl.
Hey, so.
By the way, that is downtown Andover, Ohio. It's not just Andover. I had to put that out there.
Finishing in second place, tied, but we're going to go with, hey there, Wyatt Fuderick from Geneva over there. Wyatt played a huge part of that team's defense. They had a stout defense all year. I loved watching this kid play this year. And, I'm a little biased, but I like the kid because he's got my son's first name. So I liked saying his name all the time. So that was cool. Wyatt Fuderick and my Wyatt. So that's pretty cool. I don't know, but 4 interceptions, that ain't nothing to turn your nose up at.
Well, before we go on to Jimmy Timonier, the freshman phenom, let's talk about Fuderick real quick. He, I want to say, is one of the few in the county that had numerous in one game. He had 2 interceptions in one game. So, which he really put on all of those interceptions toward the end of the year when teams started to try their luck in the air on Geneva. And Wyatt Fuderick was another one. Access denied, a no-flight zone.
Shouldn't it be, instead of Mr. Steal Your Girl, could we change it to Mr. Steal the Ball?
How about Mr. Steal Your Pass?
I like ball. Come on.
Your girl. I like that more.
Anyways, coming in, tied for second place in the interception category, big time Timmy Jim, Mr. Jimmy Timonier over at Lakeside High School, coming in with 4 of them, baby. It was fun to watch. I do love some Lakeside High School football. Me and Sammy and Tom, we all graduated from there, but we love Ashtabula County football. It was just fun to watch him, and him being, I think we said he was a freshman, if I recall. So you can't expect anything but big things coming from that kid over there to come in and be number 2 on the list there. Well, tied for number 2 as a freshman. And ain't nowhere else to go but up.
Too, man.
Yep.
The kid's got some size on him, too. He's got a heck of a wingspan. It's Lakeside's got some good things coming.
Mr. Steele, I can't help. I'm going to be saying that all night. Hey, don't forget, guys, big event tomorrow. Even though we didn't have one tonight, we got another big one coming in tomorrow. Let me bring it up for y'all. Varsity Buckeye Gray 8-0 taking on Madison Varsity White. Tomorrow, 3 p.m. coverage on that one, but good news, we're covering the JV game, which is, Sam, you said Conneaut versus...
That one is Conneaut versus Madison. Let me put this up.
Okay.
I want to update the time on there. It is not 3 o'clock. The varsity game actually starts at 2:45. But
how'd you do that? Oh, you added it. Oh, look at you coming in hot, boy.
Just so you know, the varsity game is going to start at 2:45, but our coverage is going to start at about 12:45 because we're going to be covering the JV game, which starts at 1 o'clock, live from Geneva Memorial Field.
Downtown Geneva.
Who are older than dirt, just like we are, and weren't used to playing at the Spire. Geneva Memorial is where you got to see the old school Eagles take flight. Old school Eagles like Matt Pete. I hope he's watching. Even though he went to St. John. But yeah, we'll be in Geneva tomorrow covering the youngsters as they go out and do their absolute best to go home with the championship. Tomorrow, one of few times that we're going to be wearing some gear for one of the teams that are playing because we are Ashtabula County sports banter. So that means tomorrow we will be rocking Edgewood Warrior gear.
The wood, some red and gray, baby. It's going to be exciting. Going to be exciting. So, hey, thanks, guys, tonight for joining the show. I think that's all we got. I don't know. I'm just going to call it. It is what it is. Sammy or Tom, you can stop me anytime. But I think that's it. We covered just about everything we have. I do believe we'll have some bigger announcements coming up this weekend about what's going on for Tuesday. And then we'll go from there. We do have some...
You're going to want to keep your eyes open because, we've talked a little bit about... first teams and second teams, so...
I love messing with you, Sammy, because you always think that there's more meaning to it than what there is.
Tuesday show, we're going to announce first team and second team players. First team All-County, second team All-County. Those are going to be Ashtabula County players included only.
For our own goal, first and second team.
And then we're going to discuss some awards that we're going to give out later in the year.
Awards.
Those will be discussed on the show, not said who's winning them. We're just going to tell you which ones we're going to be giving away. So tune in to Tuesday's show for a recap of the Super Bowls from the Freeway League, as well as the first team All-County and second team All-County announcement. Excuse me.
going to be exciting. So, again, don't forget, guys.
Included.
Yep. The big dogs put the fingers in the dirt every single play will be included on Tuesday night's show. So, super exciting news. Can't wait to see that one happen. Thanks again, guys, for joining the show tonight. Can't wait to see you guys on Tuesday. Don't forget again tomorrow, live coverage from Geneva Memorial Stadium in downtown Geneva, Ohio. We'll be covering some JV little kids games and varsity little kids. It's going to be exciting. Super Bowl, Superbound, Edgewood Warriors coming in hot there for the varsity game. So we'll catch everyone tomorrow. Any questions or concerns, please refer those to Sam or Tom. I don't read at all. So thanks again tonight, guys, for joining the show. This is the guy that can't read getting out of here.
Sam Torres. I'll see you guys tomorrow.
Hey, this is Tom. I won't see you guys tomorrow. I'll be working my 9 to 5, but I'll see you Tuesday.
Big deuces!
Rebound taken by Iguodala. Iguodala to Curry, back to Iguodala, up for the layup. Oh, blocked by James. LeBron James with the rejection.
Cleveland! This is for you!
Come here to cleanse your soul. Yeah, 4-4 and go. That other getting old. We got Sam right in time. This is a sports octagon. Sports for forever and beyond. Spend it with Sam right in time. From the puck to the glove to the pigskins high. Share all of your thoughts, just let it ride. Down the baseline in the bleachers, or you wanna get denied. Yeah, share all of your thoughts, just let it ride. 4-4 and go. Come here to cleanse your soul. Yeah, it's 4-4 and go. Come here to cleanse your soul.
The Browns Super Bowl contenders.
Hey, listen, when we start talking about what wins Super Bowl, we talk about talent. The Browns, they have the talent. They have